Hey everyone, it is Mary Hyatt and welcome to the Mary Hyatt Show. I have a fabulous episode planned for you, but before I hop into that, I want to just double check that I am actually online live with you guys on YouTube. You know, I have to always check and make sure because otherwise I'll do this and you'll never see it. So yes, we are on, yay. Okay, cool. I have been so excited to do this episode today, and I want to get into the ins and outs of feeling too fat for your partner, because I know that a lot of you feel this on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, or even sometimes a minute to minute basis. So before we actually hop into today's content, I want to make sure that we officially start the show. It is Mary Hyatt and welcome to the Mary Hyatt Show, episode number 56. I'm too fat for my partner. Oh my gosh, I feel like this episode is going to go viral. I think that so many people deal with this feeling of not being thin enough in relationship with their partner, with their husband, with their wife, with their boyfriend, with their girlfriend. And this is an issue that is coming up so often that I'm hearing from my clients, that I'm hearing from my friends, that I'm experiencing myself. And so we're going to get into the ins and outs of this topic and how you can begin to recover from feeling like you are too fat for your partner. But before we hop into all that, I have a couple fun little announcements that I want to make sure that you know about. I know that I mentioned last time that I was going to make sure that I started every show referencing one of my favorite books, since I'm not on social media and you don't get to see what I'm reading and what I'm doing over there. I thought, okay, before we actually get into the content of the show, I'm going to share what I'm reading, and I'm also going to be sharing which essential oil that I am absolutely loving right now. And if you have a favorite, if you're watching the YouTube live show, comment in the comments, because I want to hear what you're reading, and I also want to hear what you're loving in the essential oil world. So appropriately for today, the book that I want to suggest, which I know that if you used to follow me on Instagram, I mentioned this book a lot, and it's a book called Lovability by Robert Holden. It is probably one of those books that I go back to again and again and again and reference over and over again, as I am always on this never-ending journey of coming back to my true lovability, remembering that I am lovable no matter what. And it really has helped me on that journey of self-love. So I highly recommend that you pick this book up. And the oil that I have been diffusing and loving recently is a essential oil called Eucalyptus, which you guys are familiar with, I'm sure. Eucalyptus is a lovely tree, and it comes from the leaves of the tree. And eucalyptus is really nice this time of year because it is great for the respiratory system. It totally opens up the airways and allows you to breathe really clearly, and I feel like I have a lot of congestion happening with the change of seasons, and so this is one that is just also really comforting to me. It's one of those aromas that is a little bit familiar to me, a little bit nostalgic to me, and I absolutely love it. But it's really good emotionally too for people who are either always sick or sort of have a hypochondriac tendency. This is really good at helping emotionally remember that we are well. It's known as the oil of wellness. And so it's really great in supporting people who kind of have that feeling like their body is weak or broken, or they're always sort of susceptible to sickness, whether that's energetic or emotional or physical. Eucalyptus is really great at supporting the body and remembering that your cells are perfect, remembering that you are sort of so deserving of your ultimate health and wellness. So hit me up if you want to know more about essential oils. If you want to learn about eucalyptus, let me know. Of course, you can contact me through my website. But I also want to let you know, this is so exciting. I just announced this last week that I have my 5th Peru Retreat, my self-discovery 10-day Peru Retreat coming up in 2019, April 7th through the 16th. You guys, this is a retreat that I have led several times. I'm absolutely obsessed with this country. I run a nonprofit there, and it is a powerful 10 days where we work with different spiritual guides. We work with the people of Peru, and we do amazing spiritual, emotional work there in this country. It is just a center for support for that. So I'm going to walk you through daily meditations. We're going to be going to a lot of different sacred sites. You can read all the details at maryhyatt.com/Peru Retreat. All lowercase, Peru Retreat. And this is where I'm going to walk you through every single day. We're going to see these sacred sites. We're going to do sacred ceremonies. I'm going to walk you through Kundalini Yoga. We are going to do breath work together. And then we are going to see the absolute most beautiful countryside that you could ever imagine. I'm talking like jaw-dropping, absolutely stunning, gorgeous, gorgeous landscape. And we're going to go to Machu Picchu, which is one of the 7 wonders of the world. So you do not want to miss the opportunity to join me. It's going to be a very small group, April 7th through the 16th. And again, go to maryhyatt.com/Peru Retreat, where you can see the entire agenda, really super well detailed out with pictures and everything, so you know what we actually do on this trip. The second thing I want to make sure that you know is that next week, you guys, this may be my favorite interview that I have done all year. This is a woman named Sarah Jinks. She is my special guest on next week's episode. She is the founder of Whole Woman and Live More, Way Less. She's got 3 sweet little kids and lives in Massachusetts. And she's all about helping to empower women and support them in finding their magic and rediscovering their most authentic selves. And she and I had this amazing conversation about sensuality outside of sex. Okay. How amazing does that sound? Seriously, this episode, it's juicy, it's raw. We talk about sex, we talk about sensuality, the dilemma of all of that as women. How do we love ourselves through all of that? And it's just really raw, really candid. And I think that you will feel so supported after listening to this episode. So make sure, I'm not going to be going live next week, but the recording will be up on the podcast and it will be on YouTube, so you can view it right here as well. Okay, so without further ado, let's start the official episode, because I have so much amazing content to get into today with you. And oh my gosh, let me just kind of give you the backstory on why I'm talking about this today. So here's what happened. So I read this article from Sarah Jinks, and it was all about sort of what we're talking about, feeling too fat for your partner. And so I was reading about this, and I was reading this on her blog, and I was kind of like, okay, yeah, like, man, gosh, that would really suck to feel like you're too fat for your partner. And then it hit me hard. It just hit me hard. Now, mind you, I am not foreign to this feeling of being too fat for your partner. I remember feeling this so much in my marriage with my ex-husband, and I was so ashamed of my body all the time. I always was hiding my body, but I haven't felt like that in quite a while. But this week, it is really fresh for me because I got super triggered thanks to a recent trip to a Halloween store to try to find a costume for a Halloween party that I have this weekend. And I was like totally unaware that I was going to be triggered this way. It was kind of crazy. So I walk in, and I'm trying to find this costume, and I'm trying to decide, okay, well, what do I want to be for this Halloween party? And I start walking down the aisles of all the different costumes, you know, and they're in the bags, and they have the picture on the front of the bag, and so you can see like what it's supposed to look like. And so I'm walking down these aisles, and every freaking picture of these women, it's like the sexy, nurse, the sexy Wizard of Oz character, the sexy Star Wars character. Like literally it's the sexy version of whatever you would want to dress up as, huge cleavage, super, super, super short skirt. And as I'm doing this, all of a sudden, this massive body shame voice starts coming in and playing really, really loud in my head. I'm starting to feel so fat, so disgusting. I'm thinking to myself, there's not a push-up bra in the world that could make me look like the cover of these costumes. And I was starting to feel so insecure, and I'm with Bentley and we're walking, down the aisles. He's seeing all these things. I start going into this absolute internal tailspin because I'm like, I don't even want to try these costumes on because I'm not going to look like these women. And I had convinced myself by the time that we had left that I was sure that he would so much rather go with one of these women from the costume, like the models, on the front cover of these costume bags, that he would so much rather I look like that, and so much rather that was the person going to this Halloween party and not me. I mean, I'm talking to you, that shame dialogue, it's well rehearsed. I know it so well. It's familiar for me. And I completely started to shut down. I imagined, walking into this Halloween party only to feel like I was going to be the ugliest person in the room. I was, anticipating all this shame, anticipating all this body embarrassment. And I kept coming back to the fact that I truly believed that I was too fat for him. That, secretly, he wanted me in a thinner body. And I mean, it was so clear. I mean, I had a whole meltdown about it that night. And, I kept thinking, God, if I only looked like his last girlfriend, or maybe if I looked like one of his friends, or if I looked like the girl from the show that we watched last night that was super thin and had perky breasts, or the barista at our local coffee shop, literally anyone else but me. And surely he was so sad that he was settling for me in this body. I was an embarrassment to him. And my mind, I know you guys can relate, my mind began to spiral. Hey Joyce, I'm so glad that you are here. And if you are tuning in live with me on YouTube, make sure to comment and let me know. And those of you who, of course, are listening to the podcast on your phone, yay, I'm so glad. Maybe you can come over and check out my YouTube and see my slides and all that good stuff over on YouTube. But I just kind of want to pause here. Like, who has been here before? Who has had one of those moments where you literally think that you are too fat for your partner and that they would rather have somebody thinner? Like, I know for me, I've had those moments like when you can't even enjoy sex because you are too concerned that your stomach looks gross or your body looks gross, or maybe you don't even have sex with the lights on anymore, or those moments when you're scrolling through Instagram and you're thinking, oh my God, I bet my husband or my wife or my partner would rather I looked like her. Or maybe you're going to church, for example, and a thin couple walks by you and you automatically get all of that shame and you think, oh my God, like if only I looked like her, my husband would be happier. And if I could just lose weight, he would want me more. He would love me more. Then he would give me more attention. Then he would be kinder. Then he would buy me nice things. Then he would take me out on date nights. Then he would want me. Then he would never leave me. If I were thinner, I would be desirable. If I were thinner, I would be happier. Has anybody ever felt that? Because let's be honest, if you were in a relationship, even if you're not, you probably feel this way if you're dating or whatever, but certainly if you're in a relationship, that kind of insecurity is going to creep up often. That body shame is going to creep up often, and we can create and narrate this entire story that has nothing to do with reality, but is so strong, we are so convinced of it, that it just absolutely takes over. And let's be honest in those moments. Because the truth is, to get to the place where we believe that our partner is like the luckiest man in the world for being with us can sometimes seem almost impossible to actually get there. To believe that our weight has nothing to do with our lovability, that is what we're going to be talking about today. And I really believe that we can get to that place even when we have a moment like I have had this week of being so triggering and convinced that I was too fat for my partner, to sort of come back and remember what's real. And so I want to get into that, and I want to talk about the 3 issues that I have with the belief I am too fat for my partner. So we're going to dissect this a little bit and see where all of this is actually coming from and what we can do to begin to feel more lovable in our skin, no matter what it is that we weigh. Okay, so the 3 issues that I have with this belief, I'm too fat for my partner. So the first issue that I have is this correlation between fat equaling I'm flawed. So fat equals flawed as a fundamental belief. So this is an issue that I have because what happens is that somewhere along the way, fat has become in our society kind of as a code word for something else that feels off in our life. So I can say, oh my God, I'm having a bad day because I feel fat. Well, technically, that fat is not an emotion, right? So it's like we've associated this word fat, we've put on all this meaning, all this interpretation onto this word fat. We have made the word fat the enemy, which in reality, I think what we're trying to say is something completely different. And I love this quote. I'm going to be quoting Sarah Jinks throughout today's episode, just in anticipation for her episode next week. And also because I sort of got the idea for this episode from her. She's sort of the inspiration behind today's episode. So she says, subconsciously, we believe that if we are overweight, we are also lazy, unsexy, stressed out, grumpy, frumpy, masculine, volatile, flat, etc., etc. Now, you may be that way, but that has nothing to do with your weight. Isn't that just fascinating? I mean, the reality is being fat, quote unquote fat, has nothing to actually do with any of these other issues. Like we've just tied those words together and connected them. So if you're living in a larger body, that does not automatically mean that you're lazy or gross or frumpy. Like the words are actually not correlated, even though we've kind of, again, attached this meaning to this word fat. But that is not a fact. If you are feeling unsexy, if you are feeling stressed out or disconnected from your body, there's a different reason than you being fat. And I use the word fat. I know sometimes that can be a triggering word. I'm using the word fat like in a very positive way. You can be living in a thin body. You can be living in a larger body. And I have zero judgment on that. Neither is better or right or wrong. So when I say fat, I'm holding no judgment that that's bad or that's worse off or less healthy. So I'm just kind of saying that ahead of time. Like I'm using that as a neutral word when I say the word fat. We're just talking about the body. So all of this has to do, this is the problem that I have with this belief, like I'm too fat for my partner. You're actually not meaning the word fat. You're thinking about something else. It's what you believe about the word fat. If you feel too fat for your partner, like what are you actually feeling too much of for your partner? Not actually living in this larger body. It's sort of, it's to me a broken association that we shouldn't have anymore. Because you can feel vibrant and confident and amazing and healthy and energetic in a fat body. 100% you can. You know, you can feel exhausted, you can feel frumpy, you can feel stressed out, you can feel unsexy in a thin body. So the issue here isn't I'm too fat for my husband. or my partner. It's like, what's the actual real issue, the deeper issue here that's happening? So that's the first issue that I have with this belief, that we have created this association between being fat and being flawed. So let's disconnect that and redo that, the word fat. Okay, the second issue that I have with this belief that we are too fat for our partners is, and I called this issue number 2, projection much. You know, the stories that we are telling ourselves about how our partner wants to be with somebody else besides you actually has nothing to do with your partner. I'm going to say that again. The issues that you have thinking that your partner would rather be with somebody else besides you has nothing to do with your partner. Has nothing to do with your partner. This is what I lovingly call projection, right? Your partner is sort of acting as your mirror of how you actually feel about yourself. They're sort of reflecting back to you how you feel about yourself. Your inability to love yourself as you are is now sort of being projected onto him. And you start thinking that it's all about how he sees you, but in reality, it's how you see you. It's about how you see you. And so Sarah, she says, it is so easy to project how we are feeling about ourselves onto our partners and blaming it on our weight. But when we peel back the layers, it just means you aren't completely in love with yourself. When you are feeling unworthy of your partner's love, that is a sure sign that you don't really like yourself very much. And maybe somewhere even deeper, it's that you are not being your true self. Like on some level, when you get triggered, when this stuff comes happen, you start projecting onto your partner, oh my God, they think I'm fat, they think I'm ugly, I'm not enough for them, I need to lose weight. It's signaling to you and it's showing to you in that mirror that you're not happy in some way with yourself. So let's go back to my Halloween example for a second. I'm going to use that throughout the show today. So this is just kind of comical, like when you pull back from the actual situation and you see it for what it is. In the moment, obviously, it feels super debilitating and real. But when you pull it back, I was so threatened from these sexy costumes. Not even the actual people. Just like the picture. Just the actual picture of the costume, thinking that I wasn't sexy, that I was too fat, and that Bentley certainly didn't think that I was sexy because I was living in a larger body than what I was looking at, bigger than those models. And if I slowed down, if I could remember that my sexiness is not determined by the size of my body or in comparison to anybody else's body or anybody else's definition or display of sexiness, that is my work. So I have to slow down and realize, okay, this is just a projection. The insecurity that I'm feeling, the inability for me to love myself, I'm projecting onto my partner and saying, oh, they're the ones who think I'm too fat. Or I'm sure they would rather be with somebody else. And it's like, wait a minute. Where am I not loving myself? Where am I not accepting myself? Where am I judging myself? Where am I calling myself to a standard that either I don't want to be at or that's impossible? Where am I holding myself to something that isn't in the realm of reality? Where can I love myself more? So that second issue that I have with this belief is that it's actually a projection at the end of the day. Now, the third issue that I have is that we have this belief that our body equals you, our body equals us, that we are our bodies. When you say to yourself, I'm too fat for my husband or too fat for my partner, AKA the body that I'm in means that I'm not lovable, what you're saying is, I am my body. That my soul identity and lovability is wrapped up in my physical body. Well, I got news for you. Your body is going to change. Your body is going to sag and age and wrinkle and expand and contract. Like, oh my God, what pressure if that's all we thought our worth was. And the reality is our society teaches us this, that we believe that we are our bodies. And we obviously live in a body. That is our external sort of expression of what's happening. But that, of course, could never make up our entire self. That is not who we are. And to say that I am unlovable solely on how I look, obviously is devastating to our whole person. It's a rejection of our very essence. And we have to begin to separate our lovability and our appearance. We have to begin to separate our lovability from our appearance. And Sarah Jinks says, saying you are not worthy of your partner because of your weight is like saying you aren't worthy of your partner because of your shoe size, your hair color, or your ethnicity. I can't believe my husband married me. I have a size 9 feet. Can you imagine? I love that. When I read that, I was like dying laughing. I was like, oh my God, right? The absurdity of this is just comical, even though like it's not comical in the moment. I mean, it's really, really hurtful. But that is how absurd it is. That's like that if we thought we were lovable or unlovable based on our hair color or our shoe size or our ethnicity, it's like the same thing when we say we're only lovable because of how much we weigh. And the way that I kind of remember this and sort of like snap myself out of this trance when I think, oh my God, if I'm not a size, 8, or if I don't weigh 160 pounds, I'm not going to be lovable. I remember how I feel about my partner. So remember how you feel about your partner. Like, I could care less if he showered or if he needs a haircut or if he puts on 15 pounds or he stops working out. Like, I love him, not his body. I am with him because he is kind. He is funny. He has the absolute most amazing heart. Just to name a few little tiny things that I love about him. It's not because of the size of pants that he's wearing. And when I can remember that, it sort of like snaps me out. Like, of course, like he's not holding me to that standard. He loves me for me. Like, he didn't decide to be with me solely because of how I look. He just wants to love me, and he just wants me to love myself and for me to be happy. And I know, because I've been all different weights, that I am just as lovable in this body now than I was when I was a size 20, when I weighed 240 pounds. I'm still now, as I was in that other body, smart, intuitive, empathetic, silly, deep, dynamic. Like, my weight and the state of my body doesn't change the essence of who I am. It doesn't make me lovable or not. I still deserve to be loved, to feel confident, to let my body be seen in ways that feel really comfortable for me, and ultimately be in a loving relationship with my partner no matter what size I am. I have a body, but I am not my body. So we have to remember that. Really important. So when we're talking about, am I too fat for my partner? I feel too fat in my partner. It's like, wait a second. I'm not my body. I am not my body. I'm so much more dynamic, so much more holistic than just my body. So that doesn't have a bearing on my lovability. So really important to remember that. I mean, isn't that like powerful? Doesn't it sort of unlock those fundamental beliefs that we have, that we are obviously unworthy because of how we look? Like, to disconnect from that is total freedom. Now, I'm going to talk about how you can handle this when you get triggered, okay? So when you have a moment like I did at the Halloween store, or an Instagram comparison moment, or a PTO mom meeting moment, or whatever it is that gets you triggered and thinking you're too fat for your partner, I want to walk you through the process of how to navigate this, because it's going to happen. The goal isn't for us to never get triggered again. That would be unrealistic. The goal is, how do I respond when I do get triggered? So before I get into all of that, I want to remind you, if you haven't yet subscribed to my newsletter, I want to encourage you to do that now. The link is in the video description here on the YouTube live show. So you can just scroll down and click that, or you can go to maryhyatt.com, and right there on the homepage, you can just click and enter in your email address, so that way we can stay connected and get all of the updates of my upcoming events, because I just sold out of my Nashville Make Peace with Your Body workshop that's happening in November, and I want to make sure that you have all the information you need so you can decide if you want to come to one of these events or if you want to come to Peru. And of course, you'll hear about my episodes when I'm doing episodes with special guests or have scheduling changes. This would be a great place to connect, so I can get right into your inbox. And of course, I'm going to send you a free little gift right there, my free ebook called 5 Mistakes You're Making with Your Affirmations, and helping you to create affirmations that truly manifest every single time. So maryhyatt.com, or you can click on the link if you are watching my YouTube show. And if you are not aware, I also have a podcast, the Mary Hyatt Show podcast, where the audio version of this YouTube live show is directly on your podcast app, so that you can listen at the convenience of anywhere, in your car, on a walk, wherever you want. If you can't do the video, that's a great place to go. So make sure you subscribe to the Mary Hyatt Show podcast. And if you are listening to the podcast right now, I want to ask you to subscribe and rate the podcast. So if you haven't subscribed yet, just scroll down, hit that subscribe button. You can rate that 1 to 5 stars if you love the show. If you listen every week, I want to encourage you to rate it. And you can even write a review and tell me what you love about the show, what you get out of it. And that is a way for you to give me a little extra love as I come into your earbuds every single week. So I want to just thank you in advance for that, because that means so much to me and really helps spread this show since I'm not on social media. So thanks in advance for that. Okay, so let's get back into, how do you handle these triggers? Because I know I'm not the only one dealing with this. So I have come up with 3 ways to handle this kind of trigger, this fat shame, this feeling like we're not enough. What do we actually do? Now, the first way that I'm going to suggest handling this trigger is to invite unconditional compassion. To invite unconditional compassion. I believe, y'all, that anytime we're judging ourselves, these are just invitations for us to give ourselves deeper compassion, because the truth is, we're hurting. We are feeling inadequate. We are feeling inferior. We're feeling broken. We're feeling less than. We're feeling not good enough. I mean, shame is the ringmaster to our inner judgment circus. Can I get an amen? Right? And so when we judge ourselves, when we start beating up on ourselves and have this trigger to go into some kind of like physical submission, we start dieting, we start, finding out all these plans, because we're determined we are going to lose weight. When we have that urge, I can guarantee you that fear is the one that's actually running the show. And so when we find ourselves in this body shame cycle, this is when we need to be our most tender. I have learned this. This is something that's not natural for me. I've had to really learn this, to be tender with myself, the most kind, the most understanding, the most permissive, the most gracious, the most empathetic, the most compassionate towards ourselves. We kind of have to pause and ask our higher, wiser, more grounded self that remembers our true loveliness to calm us, to speak the truth to us, accessing that higher level of intuition of ourselves to remind us what's true. Because all of this, I need to lose weight, I need to look different so that I'm loved, so that I can earn love. Like, that's not truth. That's deception. That's a lie. That's an illusion that society has fed us. And so it's really important that we sort of access this higher self that can show up in true tenderness, acknowledge that we are really hurting. Like, that hurt is real. Like, y'all, I mean, I was like bawling. My mascara was just like streaming down my sweet face. I mean, I had like black streaks all over my face, and I'm like, you know, just like hyperventilating. I'm like, I'm so ugly. I'm not lovable. You think I'm so fat. I mean, I'm like in it. So to acknowledge, like, oh my God, sweetie, I know. Like, where we can look ourselves in the face in the mirror and acknowledge that even though it's not real, it certainly feels real. That we are buying into these beliefs that we need to earn love. And so on every level, calling in unconditional compassion. Unconditional compassion. No conditions, no ifs, no buts, just straight up compassion. I hear you. I see you. I know you're hurting, and I'm so sorry. Calling in, inviting in to our emotional state, unconditional compassion. That is the first way that we can handle these triggers. First thing, compassion. Oh gosh, I'm hurting. I'm getting triggered. Breathe. It's okay. I hear you. I see you. I love you. This is just an illusion. I know it's scary. I know it feels really real. I know it feels like you're about to lose your partner because of how you look. I hear you and I see you. Slowing down to invite unconditional compassion. Now, I like the second way to handle these triggers, and this is a little deeper. So we're going to ask the deeper question. So let's take a moment of inquiry here for a second, and we need to see if we even want to do what we think we must do to be loved. So taking a second, is this our voice or is this someone else's voice? We can begin to go into sort of an inquiry and ask ourselves, this is all about slowing down the crazy train, right? So we begin to ask ourselves questions like, do I want to be thinner or sexier? Okay, maybe I answer that. Okay, why? Or do I want this for me or because I think that I have to do this? Do I want this for me or do I think that I have to do this to earn love, to be loved, to be accepted? And so then I can sort of ask myself, if I believed that I was lovable right now in this body, would I want to do that for me? Would I want to lose weight? Would I want to diet? Would I want to get on a crazy workout routine? Would I want to do that for me? If I believe that I was already lovable right now, that I deserve to be with an amazing, loving partner, would I want to do that for me? And if the answer is no, I guarantee you it is probably going to be no. Okay, thank you. That's information that we have. And I know that for me, as I was going through this, that was my answer. My answer was like, no. Like I talked about this a couple weeks ago, but I've just been going through a really challenging time right now emotionally. I've got a lot of things going on. I've got a dear friend who has been in the hospital that I've been, checking in on and giving essential oils to, and just the emotional kind of roller coaster of that, and some other personal issues that are really demanding and draining of my energy right now. And so right now, cultivating more sexiness really isn't on the top list of my priorities. Not to say that it might never be, or that I might want to cultivate more of that at some point, because I really do value my ability to stay connected to my sensuality, to my sexuality. But right now, it would be motivated by fear. Right now, it would be motivated by judgments and inadequacy, the need to earn love. When it's authentic for me, when it's real, it'll be coming, that desire to cultivate that will be coming out of a place of health, not because I was just triggered. Anytime we instantly want to come up with a plan to lose weight or to look sexier in reaction from a trigger, or not feeling thin or beautiful or sexy enough, that is not authentic for ourselves. So anytime it's a reaction to a trigger, that's not really what we want. That's out of fear. And when we operate out of that place of fear, we can't actually access or hear our own intuition because we're operating out of fear. And when fear gets going and shame gets going, it's like, yeah, fix yourself, fix yourself, fix yourself. You're broken. And if you fix this, it'll all be fine. And in my case, I was obviously feeling too fat because ultimately I wasn't slowing down in what I've been dealing with in my own life enough to really honor my needs and to nurture myself and take care of myself in the way that I needed. And so it was like, ooh, this is a quick fix, hyper control. I'm feeling out of control in other areas of my life. This is a great way to feel like I'm enough when I feel like I'm not enough. And it's a really easy target for me to blame for my unhappiness and my uneasiness. And it's like coming out sideways. You guys ever experienced that? It's like, oh, wow, this has actually nothing to do. Like my weight has nothing to do with what I'm actually dealing with in my life. This is just an easy target that I've rehearsed and know really, really well. And so I can focus on this and feel like I'm in control, even though I'm really not, and it's not about that. And I don't even want to do it. I don't have energy to do it. So it's really, really important that we begin to ask some of these deeper questions. Is this what I really want? Is this being motivated out of fear or out of a place of total health? When you're triggered, it's out of fear. Okay, the third way, let me grab this. Oops, wrong slide. The third way is to address the root. So once we've offered ourselves unconditional compassion for really hurting, for this being really real, and got to the bottom of our authentic response to the trigger, then we can address the root. What do I need? Instead of jumping to the conclusion that what we really need is to lose weight so that we're more lovable, or, if we lose weight, our partner will want us more, a better and more loving approach when we get triggered like this is to ask ourselves how we can show up and show ourselves more love. What do I need to feel safe in this relationship? What do I need to do to know that I am lovable right now? What do I need to do to let go of these judgments? What do I need more of? What do I really deeply need here? Maybe it's having a conversation with your partner. Maybe it's about showing yourself some more self-care. Maybe it's about showing yourself more love. Maybe it's about hiring a coach or a therapist to deal with some of these deeper issues. Maybe it's about moving your body. What is it that you really ultimately need? Because that's what we're really asking for. It's like this imbalance. It's like, hang on, wait a second. Something's off here. So what is it that I really need? Because when I am grounded, when I am doing my work, when I am in a place of confidence because I am like actively doing the stuff that I know that helps contribute to that, I'm not going to have these crazy triggers. But I'm not taking care of myself well, so I'm getting triggered. So I got to kind of come back, invite that unconditional compassion, ask those deeper questions, and then address the root. What is it that I really need? Because at the end of the day, let's be honest, a Halloween costume does not determine my self-worth, okay, y'all? I'm saying that publicly so I can remind myself. A Halloween costume does not define my self-worth. My body size does not dictate my lovability. Feeling confident, feeling lovable, that is the inner work. The number on the scale or the acceptance of my partner cannot give me either of those things, cannot give me confidence, cannot give me a sense of lovability. That's my job. That is my job. And the truth is, bodies change. Our weight changes. It fluctuates. I have gained and lost, gone up and down 80 pounds in my adult life. And one thing remains. I am me. I deserve love. I deserve to be seen. I deserve to wear whatever the hell that I want to wear for Halloween without being influenced by shame and insecurity. I am not here to hustle for my worthiness or to become a size that society says is more attractive, because size and my weight does not mean that I will be loved better or never left or treated with more kindness or desired more or be more confident or have a better relationship or have a better sex life. That isn't up for negotiation. I am lovable no matter what. There is nothing that I can do to earn love and nothing that I can do to lose love. Our job is to really lovingly give ourselves what our hearts really need, to not let our appearance have any bearing on our lovability and our own love or on the love that we're receiving from our partners. I just want to say this, as I echo this to myself, I want to echo it to you. You are absolutely incredibly lovable, just as you are at this size right now, in the body that you live in right now, so unbelievably lovable. So I encourage you, as you get triggered and you feel like this is about your partner, you start making all these associations of being fat and you think that your worth is only in your body, to slow down, to invite compassion, to ask the deeper questions so that you can choose how you respond, and to ultimately give yourself the kind of loving that you need to address that root and to remember your absolute loveliness. So guys, I hope that you absolutely enjoy your weekend, your Halloween. And I am so excited, like I said, to be with you next week on this special episode with my very special guest, Sarah Jinks, where we talk about sensuality over sex. And we get into this even a little bit deeper and more raw, and I think you're really gonna fall in love with Sarah. So y'all, I will see you next week on that special episode, and until then, remember that the purpose of life is to be grateful, to be great, and to be full. Thanks y'all, bye-bye.